I don't know if I'm saying the exact thing, but it's kind of what I'm talking about. Like in that under 40 bracket, if you take anyone, including this guy who's 20, 24, I can take a 21-year-old, I can be like, so when you saw that episode, and I'll give a little context. The only reason I'm talking about this, I've never spoken about this. I don't believe in making views out of the pain of my colleagues, right? They put a lot of work and a lot of that, and it became a very predatory exercise around the time this happened. Everybody was cashing in views on this. One of the more sensible people's opinion on this issue was Kushal Mehra's. I've always respected him for his intellectual rigor and his extra passion. He was on Vinam's show, he was on your show. And your show, you did a very open discussion with Abhijit and Kushal about this. And I saw some of that. That's the only reason I'm bringing this up. And anybody under 40 who's thinking for themselves is not looking at Ranveer passing that comment and be like, ये बोला इसने मेरे मन की बात. Nobody ever said that. Nobody ever was encouraged in any way from watching that. And I mean, in the case of the movie you're making, this is something that's teaching you this is wrong. I'm talking about the flip, that nobody is looking at Ranveer and saying this is right. Nobody. In fact, I remember, had to start your opinion by saying, look, I think he made a mistake. I think he said something which is very gross. Everybody who had to comment on Ranveer had to begin their statement by saying, I think what he said is very gross. But in fact, nobody truly believes that this is influencing anyone into this kind of stuff.
And saying something gross doesn't cut you out. We're shooting this in Haryana. Agar mera car zara bhi graze kar dega kisi ko, first thing that comes up is माँ बहन की गाली.
Yeah.
तो माँ बहन की गाली है क्या
जो
उसने
literal
बोला है?
हाँ, right.
Your parents are using that. Your brothers and sisters are using that if you are not using that gali. Right? Your colleagues are using that gali. If you're a North Indian, it's being used everywhere.
Right.
If you're in the South, it's being used in a South Indian language.
It's a filler word.
Yeah. So it's not as if, and the thing is that you expect कि ये sophisticated या educated TV के सामने क्यों बोला? अरे क्या? I'm telling you that other thing I found more gross. That show, जो I don't
Allu
know.
wala show जो है, right? Yeah.
I found that more gross. Now, do you normalize that? Do you normalize saying, take off your clothes, take off your undies? It coming on television.
Right.
Yeah. The point is that if it's on the internet, so ये internet पे आ रहा है, TV पे नहीं आ रहा, यार अब एक ही चीज है.
हाँ. No, I'm okay to have the conversation on where we draw the line. But is that the way?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still, I don't like bans.
Right.
I'm not in favor of bans. But I still feel that certain content, take it off. Take off the content. Don't ban the person.
Right.
Don't FIR the person. There are enough backlog of cases which you need to handle.
Right.
वो करो. ये don't penalize the person to such an extent कि उसको lockup में बंद कर दिया ना, उसने गलती की, मान रहा है, take the content off, make that guy, make him do 2 contents in favor of talking something else, which you...
And he would do it automatically. There is a self-correction that happens. Yeah. I also think let young people make mistakes, because mistakes from young people is what causes innovation 10 years down the line. If you discourage us from making mistakes to that effect, I'll give you another perspective. I think India likes to compare itself to America like all other nations like to compare themselves to America. It's kind of like the gold standard. The one place where we were actually doing well competing with them from a young person's point of view is content. We were producing more content, better content. Samay's show, which was a conceptual rip-off of Kill Tony, which is a huge show done in Madison Square Garden. He fills up an entire stadium, got more views, more money, and more eyeballs than Kill Tony could manage in a month, every episode. And I'm not saying content is the frontier of innovation. I think science and technology is. But if the symbolic message from the older generation to the younger generation is, dare you make a mistake, we will make a case out of you, then how am I going to experiment?
No, it's also, I think, वो inherent insecurity of traditional media, they go after new media.
है ना insecurity?
और ये हर फील्ड में है, ठीक है? मेरे शो में one person said, called them ढक्कन है about the forces, right? कि ढक्कन है, इन्होंने क्या किया? About random thing, but ये vets उठ गए and the फौज picked up, क्या तुमने फौज को कुछ कहा, you insulted ये वो and things like that. They said all kinds of things. We will cancel you and all that. Okay, cancel किया. उसको कुछ lectures के लिए बुलाया नहीं. He is a brilliant mind as far as defense is concerned. तुम वो 10,000 रुपए उसको देते हो आके तुमको लेक्चर देने के लिए, वो 10,000 रुपए पलक झपकने के कब बना लेगा. He doesn't need your money, right? He is giving you gyan on how to have conversations around and how to build a narrative. He knows, and you think that you're canceling him. And then, so then once I got called by one of these organizations, and wahan pe one Fauji got up, an ex-Fauji, and he said that, you people are not welcome anymore. I said, who told you I'm not welcome? The army chief called me for the army day parade. Were you there? You weren't there. I was there.
Right.
So the army chief doesn't hold it against me. The Air Force chief doesn't. The naval chief doesn't. The CDS doesn't. They understand that this is a country where we have free media. और तुमको ढक्कन कहने से दिक्कत है. तुम लोग क्या ये टर्म इस्तेमाल नहीं करते मीडिया के लिए? तुम नहीं बोलते हो हमारे बारे में, तो हम नहीं बोलें. Since when have you become such demigods that we cannot criticize some of the things that you do?
Right.
You learn from our criticism, and even if you don't learn from our criticism,
ignore us.
Ignore us.
Yeah. Do us the privilege of ignoring me.
Yeah.
I'm not on your face. And I mean, I'm trying to hide myself as deeply away from you as I can. It's unfortunate that we are all on the same platform. But we are not the same ilk, and I don't want to produce content for you.
So Anand came on the show and he said, look, I have this rule that I will not criticize the forces ever because they are on the frontiers and they are protecting us. Agreed. So are cops, no? So are medical professionals. But if somebody makes a mistake, is it not your job as okay, Anand is not a journalist, but he's a commentator.
Yes.
Right? You are there every night on television channels. Right. So is it not your job to tell the cops when they do something wrong? Is it not your job to tell the media when they are wrong? Is it not your job? अगर हम सोचे कि हम above है, कि हमारे बारे में कोई कुछ नहीं बोलेगा, हम डॉक्टर्स हैं, हम मेडिकल प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, भाई तुमसे भी गलतियां होती हैं. प्राइम मिनिस्टर तक को हम बोल सकते हैं इस कंट्री में. हम जजेस को बोल सकते हैं, जुडिशरी को बोल सकते हैं, लॉयर्स को बोल सकते हैं, सबको बोल सकते हैं. अब हम सब पे FIR करने लग जाओगे.
ये the trouble is we are just more exposed. The judges, the minister. See, journalists are taking the hit every day. उनको गाली सब दे रहे हैं. मैं दे रहा हूँ गाली जर्नलिस्ट को. कोई केस होता है तो मैं जजेस को भी बोलता हूँ कि यार इन्होंने गलत किया प्राइवेटली, राइट? मैं शायद पब्लिकली ना बोलूँ. मिनिस्टर्स को भी हम बोल देते हैं कभी कभी कॉन्वर्सेशन में. ये सब पब्लिक पर्सोनाज हैं. By the same rule, you are a public persona and I'm a public persona. We have more exposure. We will receive more gali.
Yeah.
And criticism is the name of the game we love to hit in this country. If we are okay with it, then और हम गाली लेके भी okay, तो एक गाली तो हम भी दे सकते हैं ना response में. I'm not saying I want to give somebody a गाली literally, but if we are okay with criticism, why are you not okay with our criticism too by the same measure? And I don't know about, because I do understand Anand's argument here. The sacrifice of life as the primary motivator is a broader sacrifice in some way.
Absolutely.
I give them that respect. But I mean, if we cannot trade criticism, I don't know where we are going. If everybody is that fragile, I don't know where we're going.
It was something that they learned from it, no? They rectified a mistake that they had done. So they understood कि गलती हुई है. They rectified the mistake. They acknowledged it that we pointed out a mistake that had been made. They just had a problem with the word and is dhakkan and abuse.
I mean, pata, I think if you go on the back foot here, this is kind of why like Abhijit, he never goes on the back foot. Like आप dhakkan को भी abuse से you were drawing that line. Even if it was, can you treat it as an honest mistake? Can you treat it as a slip of the tongue?
तो ये भी है ना that he uses profanity.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will tell me that how can you be friends with somebody? I'm sure they say that to you.
No, I hide my friendship with him.
So why can't you tell him not to do it? But that is his character. He believes in absolute freedom of speech and takes it to the extent that he'll use profanity if he wants to. So
and probably we are both uncomfortable by that. Like when we read it, we are like, yaar. But I think he understands that nothing on the internet lasts, and if you're going to fight the war, fight it all out. Like if it's information, then it's information. And the first time I was acquainted by him, it was the same situation. I saw him on Twitter and I was like, what a vile man.
Yeah.
Then I met him and I was like, quite pleasant actually. And then sometimes he'll do things on the internet. I check up on him like everything's okay. But I just think that is what is Twitter is a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And we all participate in our different ways, but it's a dumpster fire. we speak for hours on camera. How will I not make a mistake? Anand has that very embarrassing moment on television where he's trading blows with somebody. I'm not your father. And these things live on. Like, you are on camera for hours. It is going to happen one time or the other. I think we
But
could
he
do-
likes it.
He's
he
a fiery
likes it.
man.
Yeah, he says, what was it that he said? When we were
Don't
talking-
abuse me. I'm not your father.
His thing was that these debates, he likes them because he says, आग का दरिया है, कूद के जाना है, or some that term that he uses. He says, तभी मजा आता है. Okay, I can't take that thing. So I find out कि कौन और है panel पे. And now, of course, you can post COVID, you can do it from home. You don't need to go to the studio. But I cannot take people yelling at me.
Yeah, right.
It just upsets me because I can't take it. So I can't. I keep asking these anchors, तुम लोग सो कैसे जाते हो रात को?
Guys, if you're interested in more content like this where it actually makes you think and explore how you think inside your head, dude, subscribe, man.